Texas Trade Talks with Paul Lawson. Call Lawson's Plumbing today.
Welcome to Texas Trade Talks. I'm your host, Paul Lawson.
I'm your host, Joe Garcia, and we have a special guest, Calvin Hewitt.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Pretty good. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Having fun?
Good.
Having fun.
How you like that weather out there?
I'm more of a cool weather, spring, fall type of guy. So
Really?
yeah, it's
All right.
Yeah.
I'm
more
looking forward to the rain
myself.
coming though.
This is going to sound ironic, but I like the heat.
Do you?
I mean, I don't like sweating, but like when it's hot outside, I can go jump in a cool pool of water, and man, that is one of the most refreshing feelings.
It is. But we don't have seasons around here though. We have hot, we have cold, and just varying degrees of it. We don't get anything like a true fall or a spring. So you take what you get.
Barely get a winter around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winter's sporadic.
But when we do get freezing weather, and we've had
Oh yeah, when
several,
it comes. Yeah, it comes.
That's when your industry, our industry, feel it.
Oh, 100%. That's when everything about life becomes abnormal, and you forget about sleep, you forget about seeing your family and eating, all the things that we do on a daily basis. Yeah, it's but it's also what allows businesses like ours, like yours, to grow. So
This is true.
Yep.
Being there for the community when they need it, and being able to step in and take care of it, and take care of it quickly. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
So, how long have you been with Steam Team?
I came on in 2019, June of 2019. So I think I just hit 7 years.
7 years?
Is that right? Yeah, 7 years. 7 years.
How are you liking it?
Love it every day. So many things have changed since I've been there, and I've known Landon since he started the company. Met him a few months after he started the company, so I've got to see the growth of it throughout. Got to help him out in various things throughout. So it's something that's we're all proud of, and the changes and where the company has gone and what we do now and transformations and everything, just like with y'all's business.
Yeah, growing and changing and evolving. Yeah,
exactly. The technology that's gone into it. I mean, we've seen it with y'all, and same thing with us. It's staying with the changes of the times, and just being the best company you can for your customer base out there, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely strive to be the best. There's a lot of good companies out there, though, too. So
there is.
Try to be competitive,
No, we're not
Try
trying to
stay
knock
ahead.
them.
Right.
Saw something the other day. It says, "Are you the best plumber that you know?" Man, I wish I was. Not knocking myself, but man, I know a lot of good plumbers, and I'm not going to be brazen enough to say that I know more or I am better than they are.
Well, I think when you feel like you're the best at anything that you're doing or that you're involved in or whatever, you're going to stop progressing. You're going to stop growing. You're never going to be the best. There's always somebody out there that's going to be a little bit better, and it's something to strive for and to shoot for.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
every day I try.
It's and let's not mistake that either. There's one thing between being confident, right, and then being arrogant.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, it's like I know that I'm one of the best in my industry, but to go out and say I am the best, there's guys that do med gas. I don't do med gas work. There's guys out there doing industrial work, working with steam fittings, and actually having to use rolling offsets on 18-inch pipe. So. I'm best at what I do. I'm not going to say I'm the best at what they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Trying to be the best in my little niche, little category over here.
Right.
I can say as a company that collectively we do our best every day.
That's all you can do.
From every aspect of it. It doesn't matter what the position is in that company. The people we have go to work every day with the intentions that they're going to do their absolute best and try to be their best. So.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when I very first started, I had a plumber. He had worked for me for the last 4 months. We had done a lot of new construction stuff, and so he had used this system. We had tested his systems, his installs, and so on this particular job, we didn't. I didn't fact check him and go underneath. He'd done 15 or 16 of these so far, and I'd fact check every one of them, and they were
You're gaining that level of trust and stuff. Yeah.
He had earned that, so I didn't fact check him on it and go make sure he was hubbed up. Well, 2 weeks go by, and this particular customer had cried wolf quite a bit, right? So when the call came in at 11:30 at night, I just assumed she was crying wolf again. I'm not going to go out there. Yeah, I can't. 8 o'clock the next morning,
or something.
I'm there at the house. She lets me in, and instantly I can hear water running.
Like, oh crap.
Shit.
Oh.
She wasn't crying wolf. This was legit,
Yeah,
right?
So the real deal this
So I
time.
shut that off, and I open up that crawl hole, and the water's, that far down from the bottom of the crawl hole, and I about shit my pants. I'm like, run. You hear that, you see those
like,
videos where it's
no.
like, run.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that popped in my head. Crap, run. But man, I can't do this to my customer. She's been a loyal, paying customer. She's been good to me. So I ended up calling steam team out, and Landon was shorthanded, so he came out there, and me and Landon ended up, and one or two other guys ended up with my crew. We got all that taken care of, but he had a truck out there within a couple of hours. We were pumping that water out. Got it all pumped out. Then we had to suit up because there's mud all over the place now, and so we had to go under there and place all the fans and
get all that moisture out of there.
There were so many fans and dehumidifiers that had to be placed underneath there, that he actually had to bring a standalone generator out there because the building itself didn't have sufficient power to run all the equipment.
Dang.
They were out there for like 3 weeks, but man,
Was it just like a house or a building?
it was a fiveplex.
Off
of
dang.
Western Street.
Yeah,
wow.
right
So-
on the corner.
And the crappy thing about it is this particular one, all the way at the on the western side of this duplex, you had to crawl on your belly, but where the water had showed up, you could quite literally get down there, and I could get on my
slope. Oh wow.
Well, that's how much room there was. So it was a lot of water, a ton of water. And so, but them getting out there quick, us getting that water out.
Saved it.
I'm getting, 100%. Getting the fans and the dehumidifiers. They were out there for like 3 weeks, almost a month, I want to say.
Yeah, it was wet.
Wow.
So if I remember right on that one, we had 3 trucks out there, and I want to say we extracted for around 6 or 7 hours on that one with 3 trucks.
Because we had to dump it, pull it, dump it, pull it, dump it, pull it. And I want to say there was somewhere around 42,000 gallons of water.
It was a lot.
It was
How long
a ton,
did it run? Well, how long do you think?
Well, it ran from the time that customer had called, or it called. So she
maybe
called,
before
she called she called her landlord, my customer, and told her about it. So she called me, and this particular customer, I went out there 3 different times, to that, and there was nothing wrong. So, but that was my own arrogance, and I being dismissive. Just, it's annoying, yes, but if they say there's something wrong, you should go out and check it.
Yeah, at least check it, right?
Because that cost me a ton of money.
I imagine.
Landon was graceful with me, and he didn't hit me like I was expecting to get hit. But but if it weren't for those guys, that could have went way worse. That water didn't sit any longer than it needed to. We got it all out. It was a monstrous undertaking.
Jeez.
Yeah, and we got there at the right time and was able to get it extracted because we were touching floorboards on that.
Yeah.
And but we were able to get it completely dried out with no secondary damage to flooring, to structure, to any of it. No residual microbial damage, mold or whatever.
Right.
We don't say that word. But that one it could have gone way different.
Now, if I had been a piece of doo-doo and just left it and did that whole run, what kind of damage do you think that would have done to her property?
Oh man, that was some structural for sure.
Yeah,
that's settling and just.
You would have had settling.
I'm going to another subject with this. I'm not trying to throw myself under the bus here, but
it's one of those things. You would have had settling if it would have sat for any length of time at all. Under the right conditions, mold will start growing.
Oh yeah,
24 hours.
It's gonna thrive under there.
Yeah, and there had been a sewage leak under that building at one point as well recently, right?
Yeah, we had fixed that.
Yeah, so there was still contaminants
there were still some remnants of that,
from that in there as well. But yeah, because I remember we ended up cleaning some framework on that. But yeah, a host of damage. I mean, you just
Right.
don't really know what it's going to do. A lot of plumbers will say, it's going to dry out. It's hot outside, etc.
Much water.
Yeah, well, there's no air movement under
Yeah,
those.
exactly.
And then
That's
all
what
it
I was
does
going to
is
say.
become,
Yeah,
even if
just
you get
gets
the water
stagnant,
out,
just humid, and
yeah, exactly, and
everything
it just
grows from there. Right.
right. It becomes a big vapor under there,
Yeah.
and that's going to get into wall
It's
cavities
heavy.
and
Yeah.
everything
Starts
else.
creeping and
Yeah.
stuff.
The nails and all the different.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then
underneath
everything that
there.
grows, right? Like, because it'll grow up in the walls and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's all those things that you don't really think about. What it's going to do is rusting screws, nails. I mean, you guys have tried to use sheetrock screws on something, I'm sure, and I mean they're so thin, so weak that they'll pop trying to put sheetrock on. Mm-hmm. You start getting those things a little bit rusty, and we've seen it. Walls start popping away, or sheetrock starts popping away from framing and stuff when it's not treated. And
Oh yeah,
and water.
and the whole bottom side of the house being covered in water. That's why it's important if a homeowner thinks, especially on a pier and beam, on a pier and beam, it'll hold the water underneath,
yeah.
and it'll still hold the water underneath the slab. It just
shows up differently, yeah.
all the way into the pad, and that's where you start getting settling it. You'll see pad movement, So, and I'd like to say my usual reference used to be, we'll go out. There's two ways to check it. Pay attention to your water meter. Right, go out there and watch that idiot gauge, and if you got everything on, that little red dial, little diamond is spinning. All right,
there's something going on.
Something's leaking because it was pretty sensitive. And I mean, you can still do that with the new meters, but now you have to watch the numbers, and they flash back and forth.
Yeah.
So you have to pay
watch
attention.
that little
right
arrow
down.
that moves.
And there'll be that little arrow that moves, and then two was your water bill. But with the water bill debacle that we've had recently, that's now. I mean, I had people reach out to me wanting to do water tests, and it's like, man, I really don't want to make them spend money to do that. You know what I mean? It's something with the system. Let's let that ride out before you guys go spending money trying to confirm whether or not you've got a leak.
We're even seeing that. I've had people contact me that it's like, think I have a leak somewhere in my house. Well, what makes you think that? Our water bill is $300 more this month than it has been in prior months. Have you had a plumber out there? Yes, had a plumber out there. They told me to call you. They're not finding anything. Well, most likely 99% of the time, if you guys aren't finding it, we're not going to find it. You know? And that's what it is. But there's a lot of people right now that are a little freaked out about, their bills being as high as they are and stuff, and what's causing it. And sounds to me like it's just a little bit of a flawed system right now. It's causing it that, maybe they're getting under control, maybe they're not. But I'm sure that you guys have seen a big uprise in that.
Yeah, I've had several people reach out to me on Facebook, and I made a few offers and say, I'd come out there and look at it for free. And, me and my wife got to talking about it, and me and, we talked about it, me and Pat talked about it. And, we really just think it's because the likelihood of all these different homes all of a sudden having leaks, I mean, it's kind of a
seems unlikely. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not unlikely, but the vast amount
for sure.
Yeah,
But
but
that many? No.
so sure, I could be like, all right, cool, let's take advantage of this. That's another revenue source there. Let's go ahead and test this people's stuff, and we can click off the dollars. But at that point, it feels like you're taking advantage of people because of something that's else is to blame.
It is, yeah. Well, and in talking about that, and I mean, I've been on enough jobs with you guys that I know that you guys are very reputable, very honest how you do things, just like we are. And if you go out there and you charge them $50 or $75 or $100 or whatever that call looks like to go out and say, yeah, this is your problem. They've just spent that money out of pocket. Obviously, we're not in the best of economies right now. So for most people, that $100 means the difference between
it's like groceries, man.
Groceries, exactly, or having to worry about, are you going to run out of gas the next day or whatever, But I think that stuff, when we are good patrons to the community and can answer questions, and it's one of those things that doesn't really cost us any money, or cost you guys any money or whatever, and having that conversation or giving them peace of mind looking at it and everything, I think that makes all the difference in the world from a business standpoint, because when they do have the real problem, they're going to call you back. They're going to say, Paul's guys, Pat, whoever came out here, looked at it.
Yeah, man,
he didn't
give me
charge
a
us
solid,
anything
man.
for it. Yeah, exactly. But now that I do need that faucet replaced, or now that I really do have
Now
that
it's
water
time.
leak,
Yeah,
it's
now
it's
it's
time to
time.
call them.
Yeah, and see, we try to. That comes with a caveat though, but because when I very first started the business, I remember a solid 2 weeks. I went out in my truck that got 9 miles to the gallon and looked at all these different things. And it was people asking questions and wanting to know what future prices were. So I learned real quick that you can also lose a ton of money and a ton of productivity with that. So it for us,
You gotta balance that.
it has to be balanced, right? So we do charge a dispatch fee to go out and look, but legally speaking, we have to pay for that plumber, the truck, and
Yeah.
all the different things
Everything
associated with it. I wish it wasn't that way. That's what I kind of was getting at. I don't really want to have to charge people to come out and look at something when they most likely don't have a problem. Why spend
Yeah,
that
you
money?
can give them a
unless you
little
need
bit
to?
of knowledge and be like, this is, there's a couple things you can check before you really have to call us out.
Yeah, if you know what I mean. If the water bill usage has gone down, and you've checked your meter and it's not spinning, then there's no point in spending the money. You know what I mean?
Well, and so many things can be fixed with a conversation.
Oh,
over the
100%.
phone,
That's why I'll walk them through it.
Yeah, exactly. And we do too, it's, do you have problem A, problem B, problem C? You don't have any of those? Okay, then this is probably what's going on. And, generally it's something that they can check themselves or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Yeah, educate the people before you
Yeah.
have to call a professional like to come out there, because we're not cheap, and it takes skill.
no.
And,
Well, it's not cheap for any of us to operate in business
Exactly.
anymore either. I mean, when you look at what the cost of one of your service trucks are, or what one of our service trucks are, the liability insurance aspect of it, workman's, I mean, it's just to
Yeah.
exist in business is
And something
outlandish now.
and something I don't know if most people understand, but like your insurances, that's all based on revenue.
Yeah.
So the better you do, the more you pay.
And it's not based on profit. It's based on revenue.
Yeah, it's based on revenue, and you can go. I mean, we had an $11,000 insurance policy for 5 trucks, right? We went to renew that year, $33,000 without rhyme or reason. I understand that they had losses in other areas, so they're trying to make up for that. I get that, but we don't have any claims, any of that, and all of a sudden we're getting $33,000. We ended up finding another provider, but our insurance still went up $7,000, $8,000.
Yeah.
So and that's just one type of insurance, because we're working, and I'm sure you guys are the same way. You have to have your general liability, and then your workman's comp, and then your unemployment, and then you pay your payroll taxes, and your payroll taxes are, to me, highway robbery. I don't want to get into
Yeah.
don't want to get into that
politics of that,
subject.
but
Yeah.
And then you get into having to protect your equipment and the umbrella policies on that and the inland marines. And I mean, it's never ending. It's literally just to exist in business. If you're not making any money, it's going to,
Yeah,
companies
exactly.
the size
Go
of
down
yours
quick,
or
yeah.
ours. Is,
we were talking about that this morning. If we do it at if we do it at cost, right? Then most people want it fixed right. They don't want to pay for somebody to come out and not fix it. Well, in order to fix it right, that costs the person that's providing the service money.
Yeah.
The tools, the training, the equipment, the maintenance of those. You know what I mean? We've spent over $25,000 in the last 3 months on fixing trucks.
just on
Yeah.
trucks. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind those trucks, just like yours, they're out on the road all day long.
Yep. All
So-
day, all night sometimes. I mean,
Wow,
we've
yeah.
literally had trucks run for 48 hours straight. And it was,
bad deal.
hey, I've got to go get fuel and I'm going to take a little nap at the gas station type things, I mean, going back to those freezes. But yeah, we've had it to where, just like y'all, those are the situations to where when, I say this about us all the time, and it kind of holds true for you guys as well. Nobody wants to be our customer. Everybody's having a pretty bad day when they're our customer. Same
we're
thing
having
with
a pretty
plumbers.
crappy day.
It's whatever it is. I mean, You know,
Yeah,
every once in a
Yeah,
while
I'm
it might
pretty
be-
regularly the bearer of the bad news.
Exactly.
On the reg,
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
all about upgrading their purses and their latest electronics in their vehicles. If they're calling up for a plumber or a restoration company, that means something's gone wrong, and they don't have a choice. You know, it's not like they say to themselves,
I got
I
this
ought to
expendable
upgrade my
income.
water system.
Exactly.
Those guys are very few and
Yeah, far between.
far in between.
But you know, when people they see our bills or see your bills, and I mean, you know, we cross over on jobs all the time. So
Oh yeah.
you hear it's like, oh, those guys are they're outrageous. It's like, no, they're not. That truck that they're driving gets 6 miles to a gallon, you know,
Right.
because it is loaded down with various types of equipment.
It's heavy. You got to have
And,
all kinds of stuff to do this.
You know, what does a camera system cost? What does a ProPress cost? I mean, you go
And you
through
know what's
it. And,
funny about them camera systems is
man.
the top dollar ones that we buy because they're the best. Man, when we go to get one of those fixed, it's 2 or 3 months sometimes to get that camera
Yeah.
back. You know what I mean? So now we've lost use of that tool.
Yeah.
So
Now we got to
but
rant. You know?
anyway, so you've been there 7 years.
7 years.
What would you say your most interesting or worst job that you've had to pull up, play rescue on?
oh, crawling around through a fiveplex, you know, the evening. No, that one actually wasn't horrible, man. I mean, we've been in some. It's everything for us is, you know, an interesting job. You know, a lot of what we do isn't stuff that I would necessarily talk about in this setting, but I mean, you know, a lot of what we do for the city and their crisis response teams and everything. And some of those you get into some pretty bad situations. You know, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of loved ones or a lot of families who have just lost a loved one. But those are always kind of some of the worst jobs. And then, you know, some of the most interesting jobs. I'll give you an interesting job. Brand new construction house out there in Heritage Hills. The people just move in, and instantly they've got a smell in their house.
Oh, wow.
They think it's mildew, it's
Was it a
mold.
new
it's
build?
something.
You said it was a
It
new
is
build?
brand new build. Yeah. The house has been finished for a week.
Already getting funky.
Right. And we go out to look at for the builder. He thinks that there's a leak somewhere. He's had plumbers out. We've had, you know, thermals out, moisture meters, etc. We're looking for everything and cannot figure this out.
Oh, they're running the gamut and
Yeah.
throwing everything you can at it.
100%. So we're coming out various times of days. We're walking around sniffing everything, you know, and so we kind of figure out that at one point, and it was only doing it where the sun was hitting this building at like 11:30 to 12:30 in the morning, you know. At some point during construction, a mouse had gotten in the wall, had actually got stuck in the spray foam.
Oh no!
And died. And
They
this
spray
thing was,
foamed him?
yeah, well,
Dang,
this
they
thing was
saw him, they hit
decomposing, and it was just where the sun was hitting it at just
Yeah.
that one time. But
Just
I mean,
cooking it all at that one
yeah,
time.
and we finally figured it out. You know, it was as simple as cutting out the wall, pulling that out, disinfecting it, etc. But we chased that smell for 2 weeks.
Oh
you know?
wow!
And that's just one example of kind of the things that we get into because we do handle the stuff that nobody else wants to touch or
I feel you.
really has an idea
Of how to approach it,
do
yeah.
And I always say, you know, a lot of what we do, we're able to get it done just because of the mentality that we have of we're going to try it. You
Right,
know,
yeah.
Even that's kind of the business that we're in is we at least got to try that. But you know, we've been in some huge floods, some 100,000 square foot plus floods that you're walking water to the middle of your shin and stuff. And
Wow.
I mean, those are always interesting, and the how you
Like
get
that.
the plan of attack for them.
Didn't you guys do? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but it just got me thinking. Didn't you guys do the over there on 34th and Sansi
We
when
did.
that water
Yeah.
ruptured?
Oh yeah. It was like I don't know
Well,
the building.
the
though,
building
yeah.
looks like it's under
sounded like some construction.
repairs
Yeah.
or
So that building was fully affected. You
The
had
entirety of the building.
the
Even
entirety
like the
of the
medical
building.
part on the backside.
Every bit of it. So there was a riser to the fire suppression system that blew up below the valve, and I want to say it was a 24-inch main, if I remember right. And
Dang.
they ended up
Wow.
having to, they were trying to get it consolidated to that. They couldn't. They ended up having to ultimately shut the neighborhood down.
Yeah,
But, I mean, water
the
ran in
stop
there
is
for
after
hours. You know, I think that water ran for something like 4 hours. And
that much water.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dang.
And
This is a good sized building.
yeah, I can't remember
is.
what the exact square footage on that building was, but you know, and this honestly, that job kind of changed how restoration companies in this town were working together too. You know, there's a handful of restoration companies in this
For
town,
sure.
you know, and there are some good ones for sure. But we partnered with Vertical One, Carpet Tech, and Mystery Store on that job.
Okay.
And, you know, any one of us could have done that job on our own. You know, any one of us has resources to call in other companies if need be, whatever. But with that one, we all partnered together on it, got it done, got it ready for their rebuild. And I mean, we had that thing dried out to a point that, you know, it could start the demo process, et cetera, within, I think, 10 days or something, you know.
Nice.
And that type of job, and for the size of our market, I mean, that would have maxed any one of us alone, you know. But the fact that we were all able to partner together and work on that and get it done, and you know, get it done for the client, and it was a shared client between all of us too, you know.
Nice.
But it worked out. It worked out really well. Worked out extremely well. And but I mean, that was a big one though. I think that building, I want to say somewhere around 160,000 square feet is what that was. I can't remember that for sure, but you know, we've done big hotels that has fire suppression at the top floor of, you know, a 4-story hotel or whatever has flooded the entire building.
Oh, man,
Done multiples
I
of
bet
those.
that's fun.
We've done Westgate Mall. We've done the gymnasium. We've done gymnasiums. We've done theaters. I mean, you name it. You know, and theaters are just like a swimming pool. You
I
know,
can
with
only
the
imagine.
drop to them. So we've had some really interesting jobs. We've had a lot of really big jobs. And again, it's one of those things that any job you go to, it's just like with you guys. I mean, you can go out for a water leak or to go fix an O-ring on or a wax ring on a toilet or whatever the case is, and you might get out there and it's something totally different,
Oh, yeah.
and you never know what you're walking into. And I think that's one thing that I really do like about this industry, and I'm sure both of you probably agree with that as well, is that you don't have consistent days.
No.
It's-
No one
Yeah, no
job's
one job
No.
is the same as the other. And we'll have people call in and they're like, "Well, how much is my water heater going to be? It's in a garage." Man, we've done that before. Oh no, you're looking at $1,600, $1,800, or whatever the number was
Go
back
out
then.
there and you're like, oh.
And you go out there and you're like, "Holy crap! I got to remove the air conditioner just to get."
Yeah.
So, you know, we've learned our lesson on that because it sets up for disappointment.
Like
But
setting you up for failure.
you know, what's it going to take to fix that toilet? Well, you know, if it's just a wax ring, you know, that's going to be fairly cheap. But if we pull it up and the flange is rotted out,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, I look down and I can see ropes coming out like 90. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have a subfloor left
There's
there.
something
Yeah.
totally wrong here.
Yeah.
Looking at something else.
Yep.
absolutely, we're working a job now where the home inspector went out and they found a belly, and this is a new home too. All right, this house has been built within the last 5 years by one of the big
Big
big builders over here. Of course, you know, they don't really build in city limits, but this particular development they did over there by Affiliated Foods, right there behind the railroad tracks, that
Yeah.
whole thing. So, but anyways, they said that, you know, it's holding water. So we go over there and we look at it, and there is so much mud, if you will, caked up on the inside of this pipe. We're like, man, that I can't tell if that's a break over here or if that's, you know, just dirt. So we recommend a line wash. We go over there and we line wash the whole main from the main.
From the clean outs into the
Yeah,
house, right?
and
All
then
that.
out to the main because it was just caked. It was like the pipe had been sitting outside for years. You know what I mean? When it sits out and exposed to the elements, it'll collect dirt on the inside of the pipe.
Yeah.
Either that or it gotten flooded during the rain or something. But
Yeah.
either way, it was just completely caked. And so we get that all clean, and we find the sag. There's not a break. great, cool, perfect. That's what
Nice.
we thought might be a break. Is not. It was just mud
Yeah,
buildup.
just mud.
And long story short, they ended up having complete backfall on the entirety of that branch. So the washing machine and the toilet and the lavatory and the shower, that branch,
Yeah,
the
the hall,
branch serving
hall
all
bath
four of
or
those
something.
fixtures,
Yeah.
they ended up having to come up. I'll show you. I don't have a physical picture of it, but it ended up having to come up on the washing machine line alone almost 8 inches just to get to grade.
So how are you fixing that? Because we're talking
Well,
under slab in
Yes,
this
sir.
situation,
At that
right?
point, your trenchless doesn't work. Busting, none of that works.
Yeah.
None of it. The only thing that you can do is physically move
Good
the
old
pipe.
traditional.
You don't have a choice
Yeah.
because it has to come up. There's nothing out there that's going to get inside a pipe and lift it up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we have to dig it. So what started out as hoping that we could only had to fix this one part, we ended up having to redo all
Way
of
more
it.
than you thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was disappointing.
Man, so was it the original owners of that house, or had they just purchased it, or?
Yeah, the original owners bought it 5 years ago. Now, granted, they were renting it out, and they had an older lady that was living in there, and she never really used that bathroom. So never really got the chance for solids to back up. So whenever the homeowner went to the builder and said, hey, this is the problem, the builder's like, oh, it's settling, that's normal. Bubba, coming up 8 inches is not
That's
normal.
not the norm.
But supposedly they've gotten some of they've cleaned house a little bit, so hopefully they've gotten that taken care of. But
Those are hard conversations to have with the customer too.
Oh, yeah.
very hard.
We
Oh, yeah.
we see it a lot. And I'm sure you guys do too. Somebody just purchases a house. It seems like it always happens to first time home buyers, unfortunately, But they go out, they've purchased this house, they're excited about it, and then within, a week of living there, they've got something going on
yeah.
with their plumbing that's going to cost them. And a lot of times in that situation, they are older homes and stuff, but that's going to cost them. Whoop, I'm pulling cords way here.
You're good,
But that's going to cost them, $10,000 in plumbing and $10,000 in restoration, and they, just put every penny they have into this house.
Right.
And those are just tough conversations
Oh,
to
yeah, it's
have.
hard.
That here's what it is, and insurance forever. I mean, we're all in an age group here that insurance took care of things when we grew up. You knew if you had a problem with your car, if you had a fender bender or whatever, you call the insurance company, your agent does what they need to do. You have a problem with your house, you call your insurance company, your agent does what he needs to do, you get an adjuster out there, etc. And now, I mean, there's so many coverages that have been cut out from insurance policies that used to protect homeowners in that situation that just don't anymore,
Yeah, they just don't exist
And
anymore.
so then you're having to explain to them, it's like, yeah, I understand that you're paying for that insurance policy every month and that you feel like it's going to protect you in this, but it doesn't. It just doesn't, unfortunately.
And that's a
Fortunately,
twofold problem
find out
too.
the hard way.
Yeah, it's a twofold problem. They've got they're all when your constant focus is always on the dollar, that's what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just it. I've learned that myself. You know what I mean? And two, insurance companies just not wanting to pay it, so they cut the. It's one of those two. You got some customers like, I want it as cheap as possible, so give me the cheapest insurance I can get, and then when they have a problem, they're surprised to find out that insurance doesn't cover it. Well, there's a reason why you got it cheap. It met the minimum requires that the financial institution needed to give you the loan.
Yep.
And then there's the other group of people that aren't that way, and they pay top dollar for the best insurance policy possible, but the insurance companies have cut that coverage altogether, and in some cases they've actually paid for and I'm sure you're aware of this, you work with it more than I do, that they paid for that coverage, but they find a way to get out of it.
Oh, yeah. We have a mutual customer, I won't say her name, but she had a water leak. It was in the wall of the kitchen. I think it started from a manifold, and you'll know who I'm talking about here, but excuse me, it was in the manifold of the kitchen, went underneath cabinets. This thing never surfaced. It saturated the wood under the cabinets enough that it finally surfaced. You called us on that. We went out there and said, yep, you absolutely need to file a claim on this. And the adjuster that she had, there was a little bit of a a clash with them from the get-go with the homeowner and the adjuster. He was very slow about replying back and everything, but he asked her, first thing he asked her, and we were out there with her as well, was how long has this leak been going? And she says, I don't know, maybe a day, maybe a month, maybe a year. I don't know. I'm not a plumber. And as soon as she said that, he was like, well, this is ongoing. Denial, And it was one of those things that this thing should have been cut and dry.
Yeah.
It surfaced. She called you. Y'all said,
Just
you've got a
going
problem
for a
here.
while. Yeah.
Exactly. Call these guys because you've got a bigger problem going on here. But again, it was just that mentality of that adjuster, something that should have been coverage. He went out of his way to make sure it wasn't, and
Wow.
and unfortunately, we see stuff like that. You guys see stuff like that. You'll get inspectors, for example, who just have a grudge with somebody that day or whatever, and they're like, well, no, you're going to have to do this and this and this, and I don't care if it adds $5,000 on that bill, do it. It's ridiculous, but yeah, it's in those situations, and everybody, I know who their agent is when I hear this. Oh, it's going to be covered. I have the Cadillac of policies. It's like, well, there's there's only Hondas of policies now, but there's so many things that's not covered anymore that used to be, and now you're seeing 2% deductibles from everybody, and that's almost standard. There's some companies that won't write a 2% on, won't write a 1% on.
No, they won't do a 1% anymore.
Yeah, it's a handful of them that still will, but. And generally, the ones that do have 1% also have reduced coverages on a lot of stuff. So, they're already. You look at what house prices are now and how they evaluate houses and stuff. And I think on average, replacement cost on insurance is about $160, $170 a square foot. So, we'll use 1,000 square foot house just so I can keep the math easy. You're talking about $170,000 value on this. So you're talking about what is that, $3,800, $3,400 in deductible off the top, and that's on a small house. Whereas back in the day, that deductible would have been $500 or whatever, And so it puts everybody into a bad situation right off the top, and so many things not being covered with it, and
they got to pay people for all that. It's just tough.
It's kind of like the laws and stuff that get passed. It's kind of the same with the insurance. They inundate you with so much stuff.
Yeah.
And you're already got life going on. You're raising your kids. You're dealing with your family. There's just a whole host of stuff, right? And so, who has time to sit there and be straightforward? Who has time to read 95 pages of fine print?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get you, yeah.
Yeah, and you got to hope that you ask, because some people, they have the mindset, if they don't ask me, I won't tell them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't know what questions to ask, you may not get the right answer. You think you're asking the right questions, but you're not, and you're right. I remember when early on in my career, they always paid for the access, but they didn't pay for the plumbing repair.
Right. For the actual, I'm cutting this pipe, I'm fixing it, but everything else would be covered.
Yeah, they would cover, and even on the underslap stuff. So, you had customers they had rotted lines. They'd been in the house for a year. Well, it's obvious they didn't do that. There's not enough. They don't have enough time with it.
Yeah.
And they would cover it. And so we would fix the sewer line. They paid for the access, but and that was fantastic because for the homeowner that has to pay for that, if the insurance is covering the access, that's 90% of the cost right there is the access.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and the homeowner only has to pay for the plumbing repairs.
The repair, yeah.
That's as far as an exchange is concerned, they're getting their value there.
Yep.
But most of these insurance policies nowadays, I know that they've got a few that might cover sewer services now. I haven't kept up with them.
Man.
It's very few. You can almost, it doesn't matter who the carrier is, you can almost lay out those policies, and without the name on the top of them, you can't see a difference in them,
Right.
They're just stripped down. There's, reductions in coverage on certain things. And then, one of the things that we run into a lot, that you guys run into a lot, is what they call workmanship, If we ran into it recently on a job, that house that over in
About the sewer one that ran on the wall?
Yes. Yeah,
Well,
that one.
Really super expensive.
Over off Tekla. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're talking about a house that has any room you're standing in has probably $1 million worth of artwork and
Oh man.
and statues, and I mean they're huge art collectors. And that's not even an exaggeration. Once I realized what all that stuff was, it was like, okay,
Don't touch it.
yeah, exactly.
Don't touch
You've
it.
got a
Get
couple
all
of
this out of
rednecks
here.
just
Yeah.
climbing over stuff in that house, trying to dig down into walls and stuff. But that was a problem that was from a previous plumber and somebody who, I mean, I don't know who the company was for sure, but everything about that, you know, we seen how they pieced that floor back together. You'd stand in one spot on the floor and it was sagging so bad you were standing on the sewer pipe or on that drain pipe because they had put like some 1/4-inch plywood or something in there to try to fill this gap and, like, you know, threw some flooring over it and stuff. But you know, insurance sees stuff like that, and even though this person has had this house for a year, this is a repair that was done 2 years prior. They're like, that's workmanship. That's not our problem, you know. And yeah, there's just so many things now that they get out of paying that.
And that's
You know.
and that's something that I try to stress to the homeowners, you know, especially when it comes to your licensed work, your plumbing, your electrical, your HVAC. There are a lot of guys, especially handymen. And don't get me wrong, there's some good handymen. You know,
Yep.
They go out there and they work within their
What they
their
know,
operating
you know.
space, and then when it comes to the license work, because they're honest and they understand, hey, you know, my insurance isn't going to cover this because I'm not licensed. Right. And I know their homeowner insurance isn't going to cover it just because just workmanship and licensure. You know, it's one thing when they work on the home themselves, but the minute you start paying someone to come out, there's rules and requirements. And if you think that the insurance company's not paying attention to that,
Yeah.
and you want to try to save a buck, and you get Joe Blow handyman to come out, and he shark bites a fitting together, and then next year it freezes because he did it on an outside wall, and that shark bite fitting comes apart, and it floods your house, and they find out, you better hope they don't find out that you didn't have a licensed plumber do that, because it's automatic denial.
Yeah. From our standpoint, we love shark bites. You know? Those things are like a guaranteed water damage.
Right. Yeah.
We'll use
for
them when
sure.
it's freezing, and we've got 30 friggin',
Yeah, I just
and then
look
we
for
schedule
like a
comebacks,
yeah,
and
'cause that's just a temporary fix for now.
Exactly.
it's to get their water back on so they have it, and then we'll move on to our next emergency call, and then once we've worked our way through the emergency calls, we go back in and
Make the proper repair.
do the proper
Yeah.
repair.
Yeah, we, you know, our guys have a handful of them on their trucks and everything, and it's for that reason there. If a plumber hasn't got there yet and it's generally in freezes, you know, we beat a plumber out or whatever, we'll slap one on and tell them, hey, we shark bit that, you know, that's what you got to get there.
Yeah.
But, and you're right about the handyman and everything. We even see this with plumbers, you know, we're not a company that will work with every plumbing company out there. You know,
Right.
I mean, our reputation's on the line, the same as yours is, you know, if you're working with us, but there's so many plumbers out there that, you know, we're an apprentice last week with somebody that, you know, was able to put together a van and they're a plumber now, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
unlicensed and they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the experience and everything. And we just don't want to work with people like that, you know. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to work with somebody that's not going to do the customer right, that's not going to do the repairs right, that's going to give themselves a bad name and ultimately us a bad name as well. But there's a lot of those out there, and a lot of, you know, going back to the handyman thing, and there is some very, very good handymen out there.
Oh, yeah,
that,
absolutely.
But again, you know, are they qualified to do certain things, you know, and you got to really watch
they're
that
gonna
kind
be
of stuff.
honest with themselves. Like, can I do this?
We
Right.
see it a lot in our business. I mean, there is company after company after company out there that advertises like mold remediation, for example. Start looking into licensing on them. Very, very few companies that advertise that are licensed for it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
you know, when it comes to the electrical, your plumbing, you know, plumbers protect the health of the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Your plumbing protects your health. You know, you want that done right. Electrical done wrong can kill you.
Yeah.
Plumbing done wrong can kill you.
Mm-hmm.
HVAC done wrong, well, you know, I'm not an HVAC guy, and I'm not trying to slam those guys, but they still, you know, they have to have a license to do the work
Yeah.
that they do. And if that's not done right, that costs you a ton ton of money.
Well, think about the fire
You probably get
aspect.
sick. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I don't know, because that's the air you breathe, right?
Right, and the venting.
So
I mean,
I would imagine, you know, you probably get sick as hell.
Yeah.
If it's not done right.
absolutely. I don't know why I didn't think about the
Yeah.
venting. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know, so those are, you know, if they don't put that, I can't tell you how many times I've crawled up into an attic, and there's a couple outfits, they work out here on these outside developments. I'm not gonna name them, but you know, they take advantage of the people that work for them, and they do very, very, very budget friendly work. And when you crawl up in the attic and you look at the work, they've got a drip pan sitting on the rafter,
Yeah.
with bricks holding up the unit, and everything just flopped and slopped all together. And you're thinking to yourself, man, these people paid, you know, 300, 350,000, 400 north for these houses, and that's
And
what
this is the quality you
that's
get.
the quality they get, you know. But that's one of those things where not every builder does. There's a lot of good builders, but there's builders that, you know, they beat the licensed guys, despite not having a license themselves. Beat those guys down on price, even though they charge full for it. And they put more money in their pocket. That's how they're able to have a house in Las Vegas and San Antonio and Amarillo and Florida.
Yeah. All
You
the
know.
fun, pretty things.
Yeah, it's terrible. But man, it sounds like I feel like we got a little bit of a negative track there with that, you know. And I'm not
Yeah,
trying to be
right.
negative. So, what made you decide to go to work for Steam Team? Sure, have you done restoration your entire career? Or?
So I come from the insurance industry.
Okay.
I was an adjuster for several years. Was an agent for 7 or 8 years altogether.
Nice.
But had, you know, years of insurance experience. And so, you know, that was when I came here, I was leaving insurance. I thought that it was the carrier that I was with, and I was captive by that carrier. Thought that was what I was not liking about insurance. But it didn't take me long to realize it was just I didn't like the industry, you know. And kind of had a direction, but it was a complete accident how I ended up at Steam Team. It was never planned out or anything. June 1st of 2019, we had those really heavy rains. It was when I-40 flooded and became a river, and everything else.
Behind Discount Tire, what's the name of that?
Yeah.
That
I remember
lake,
that pond, yeah, whatever they call it.
Lawrence Lake.
Lawrence. I think it's
Lawrence,
Lawrence
yeah.
Lake, yeah.
But you know, there's all this flooding going on and everything, and I think me and Landon was hanging out earlier that day. I think maybe at a car show or something, and he we was looking at the weather forecast and everything. And he asked me if it started getting bad, if I'd come grab a truck and go up and run one. Because if anybody knows anything about Landon, it was in those early days of Steam Team. If you were friends with him, you learned how to clean carpets. You learned how to
Get it
extract
out.
water. Yeah, I mean, you know, because it was him and just kind of a revolving group of friends really that got him through that first few years of the company. So I'd been on those jobs and everything, and I'd go and help him run equipment or whatever the case was, you know. And we'd left that car show, get home, and it just started raining. You know, I guess it had been raining for a while, but it was when it was really starting to get heavy. And he called me and was like, "Hey, yeah, we probably are gonna have a pretty busy night." I was like, "Cool, yeah, I'll get up and get ready to go and everything." He called me probably 30 minutes after that, and was like, "Can you go get one of the trucks and load every bit of equipment that you can into it?"
Stuff
And,
it.
yeah, and I was like, "What happened?" He's
What's
like,
happening?
"I need you here. You got to come see this." So it was a retirement home over on kind of off Coulter Street over there. There's the way that this building was built. It had courtyards in the middle of all of their hallways, right? So all that rain, the hail comes in on top of it, and the hail basically beats all the mulch in their flower beds, gardens, etc. loose, goes into this French drain system in all three of these courtyards, and then all that rain comes on top
Just
of
starts
a
collecting.
clogged-in French
Yeah.
drain system and floods this entire building. I think it was 60,000 square feet, roughly. And so I get over there, I'm looking, I'm like, this is pretty bad, you know,
Sure.
and Landon's standing there, And I mean, you got to remember where the company was at in 2019. You know, I mean, it was primarily a carpet cleaning company still. It wasn't the restoration company that it is now. It was, you know, I always say it was a carpet cleaning company that dabbled in restoration. We're a restoration company that dabbles in carpet cleaning now, you know. And get out there and looking at it and everything and kind of get a plan together on it. It's get the water out. So with talking to the on-site managers for this facility, because the management company itself was out of Dallas maybe, but we're kind of walking them through it and everything, and the management was coming inside. Sorry, I'm trying to get my times straight here. The management was going to be in on Monday or Tuesday, and this is on Tuesday actually, and this is on Saturday when everything happened. So on Monday, I met with the adjuster. The adjuster did get there on Monday. Met with him with Landon, and the adjuster was just real kind of condescending about everything. I mean, this was a large loss before, but he just acted like neither one of us had a clue what the hell we were doing.
Oh, wow.
You know, it called us two guys in a van is how he kept referring to us. It's like, hey, look, you know,
two guys in this one van showed up.
Yeah. But you know, you're talking about somebody with Landon, and Landon puts every bit of his free time into studying the industry and learning new things about the industry. I mean, that you want somebody who's knowledgeable about every aspect of restoration, is him for sure. You know, I mean, his everything he knows about it's overwhelming. I've been in the industry for a long time. You know, I mean, I've been in the middle of Katrina and, you know, some really big storms. Like I've seen it. I know how it has to be done. And it kind of pissed me off that he was, you know, talking down to us like we were just a couple of guys from Podunk, Texas, and that we couldn't handle it.
Don't know anything, got your little vacuum here ready to go.
Yeah.
It's not even like that, right?
Exactly. And at this point, you know, Landon wasn't real sure if from a workforce point, or, you know, even carrying the job financially, if he was going to be able to do it. But it was just, I was so irritated with that adjuster. I was like, no, we're going to figure this out. Like, you know, this job stays in-house, because he was, you know, started talking to other companies about who he could bring in to basically take it over, and the steam team would have got a percentage of it. And it was just the attitude of that adjuster that I was like, no, this isn't going to happen. Right. So I had some free time. We're going to figure this out, you know. So Tuesday, Landon had to go to Colorado on Tuesday. That was the day that the management company, their vice president or where she was, I can't remember what her title was coming in, and the adjuster was still there, was going to meet with them as well. And I was like, there's no way we're going to lose this job. You know, I'm going to make absolute sure of that. Right. And that's what I did. I mean, I just pushed it. We got the job, and Landon had to leave on an emergency. So I remember calling him and saying, hey, we got to figure this out quick because we have this job. And he was like, oh, what part of it do we have? It's like the whole thing.
All of it.
Yeah, it was literally everything. It was the restoration. It was the rebuild. It was all parts of it. And we had components of the company already in place that helped out with some of that, you know. Right. And he knows a lot of people. I know a lot of people. So we were able to get it done. But, you know, we got that building turned in 6 months. And that was from date of loss to them being back in their rooms. Yeah, exactly. And that was having to completely, because it was contaminated water. I mean, it came from ground, you know, pesticides and everything else in that. So
that sits on it, right?
Exactly. So we ended up 4-foot flood cutting that thing throughout. It was all the flooring, all the millwork, etc. You know, and we turned that building in 6 months. And again, I didn't really know, you know, what my direction with the company was going to be, and ended up staying on, and you know, have seen the company grow. And a year and a half ago, I guess now is where it is, we brought on Jacob Campbell, and that gave me a chance to step away from the operations side and to really, you know, start growing the business a little bit more. This gave Landon a chance to actually be an owner of the company, you know, as opposed to having to be a technician for this hour and everything. And that's one thing that we've done really well with over the last 7 years, is getting the people in place that are the right fit for those positions, you know. And you've been around us that whole time. I mean, you've seen the transformation of the company and where it's gone, and so that was really, I mean, once I seen how determined Landon was, and I've always known it. I mean, that dude started this company when he was 21 years old. Sold his little hot rod Mustang to buy a carpet cleaning van and almost lived out of that van, you know.
Right.
But he ran it out of a 1-bedroom apartment, you know, and just everything that he's done has gone back to this company. And once I seen what his real vision for this company was, during that time that we was doing that job, and you know, I helped out with a lot of the other stuff as well, and it was something I wanted to be a part of more. You know,
Right.
He's a good guy. I mean, Landon's a great guy, but it wasn't about what he wanted this company to do for him. It was about what he wanted this company to do for the employees, for, you know, the long-term
community and all that
sustainability
stuff.
of it, and for the community, etc. And I think I was kind of so jaded coming from that insurance world, and you know, having to have this conversation with customer after customer that I understand that should be covered, but it's not.
Right.
And I understand the situation that you're in now, and I'm sorry, there is nothing I can do about it.
Dang, that's
I think I
horrible.
was to that point where I wanted to be in something I felt better about.
Like, yeah,
you know.
you were doing something for somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I decided, you know, rather than working for the insurance companies, I'd rather fight with them. And that's really what got me
We
here.
got you
And-
going.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, we got to wrap up here. So I do want to wrap out with, if you had one solid piece of advice to give a customer that you think would benefit them the most, what would that be?
Work with somebody that you trust and that is knowledgeable. I don't care if that's in the restoration end, the plumbing end, the HVAC end,
Yeah, any
whatever it
end of
is.
it all, yeah.
You know, don't always look at what's going to be cheapest or what's going to be your cheapest fix. Work with somebody who is going to lead you in the right way. That's going to tell you the reality of the situation. And sometimes those things cost more, but don't
Yeah,
skimp
just
out on it. Don't
be
half-ass
honest.
it.
Yeah, be honest about
Yeah.
it.
You're talking about, you know, with homeowners, you're talking about what is probably their biggest investment throughout their life is that house. Protect that investment at all
Yeah,
costs.
for sure.
Well, I like that. I like that. I appreciate you coming in and interviewing with us.
Yeah, this was
Guys,
fun. I
Yeah,
appreciate
this
you having
appreciate
me.
you being here.
Yeah, you bet. Well, guys, that wraps it up for us. As always, if you have any plumbing problems, big, small, underground, above ground, in the ceiling,
Yeah, whatever you need.
whatever you need, give us a call.
Texas Trade Talks with Paul Lawson. Call Lawson's Plumbing today.